Welcome to the next module. In this module, we will be looking at plant biodiversity in the Arctic Part 2. We have seen the various adaptations of Arctic plants in the previous module. So in this module, we are looking at many of the Arctic stressors for plants. We are going to look at abiotic stresses. The first one is protein misfolding and membrane stress. This affects the plant cell biochemistry and metabolism, physical properties of cell membranes and proteins. The next one is physiological cold stress. This affects fatty acid biosynthesis process, calcium-dependent protein kinase pathways. Ice and snow stress. Mechanical stress and cellular rupture and ice formation in extracellular space will draw water out of the cells and increase solute concentration in the cytoplasm, leading to cellular dehydration stress. Light stress. This is enriched in far red and blue light. This affects reproduction, growth and development. Oxidative stress. Increased accumulation of reactive oxygen species within the cells. These are all the various abiotic stresses which affect the Arctic plants. So when there is stress, the plant adapt. So we are going to look at the different plant adaptations. Some are called irreversible, some are non-reversible, and something are reversible. So plant adaptations which are irreversible are evolutionary adaptations. This happens within the lifespan of the plant. These are called genotypic adaptations. The next one is not reversible. These are called modifications. And we also have reversible plant adaptations. This is called acclimation. This is basically a physiological one. We will look into each adaptations separately. The first one is genotypic changes. So what are the genotypic changes that occurs? Modification of photosynthetic pathways, synthesis of certain sugars and protein to safeguard membranes, and enzymes against damage during dehydration. So these are genotypic changes. These are irreversible changes. Then we also have evolutionary adaptations, reproductive adaptation to seasonality, occasionally changing from asexual, that is bulbils, stolons or vivipary, to sexual reproduction, that is selfing of self-pollination, preference to wind pollination over insect pollination, because there are hardly any insects in the Arctic region. Pre-formation of flower buds. This happens in the early spring melt. Freezing resistance, plant stature, modification to plant phenology. These are all the evolutionary adaptations. Then the next one is modification. This is partially reversible. The plants are becoming taller. Senescence, inflorescence. These are some of the adaptations. Acclimation. This is reversible. Plant acclimate to low temperatures by changing the lipid composition of the plasma membrane to avoid membrane rigidification and rupture during cold stress. What is acclimation? It is a process in which an individual organism adjusts to the change in its environment, such as a change in altitude, temperature, humidity, photoperiod or pH, allowing it to maintain fitness across a range of environmental changes. Acclimation occurs in a short period of time, maybe from hours to weeks, and within the organism's lifetime, compared to adaptation, which is evolution, which takes place over many generations. So acclimation is a shorter one. In the Arctic, it may be a mammal shedding heavy winter fur in favor of a lighter summer coat. Organisms can adjust their morphological, behavioral, physical and or biochemical traits in response to changes in the environment. Let us look at some of the physiological and morphological adaptations. Higher number of mitochondria per cell and high oxidative capacity per mitochondrion. Higher respiration rates than temperate plants, that is in the native environment, with respect to the native environment. Controlling plant microclimate, that is photosynthesis under low light intensity, keeping old leaves and stems. Pubescence, that is hairiness. Heliotropism, dark pigmentation, very high anoxia tolerance. More biomass below ground than above ground. Mycorrhizal, that is mutualistic, symbiotic or parasitic association between fungi and plant. These are some of the physiological and morphological adaptations. We also have other changes, which are plants actively reduce water content within cell, produce various proteins that inhibit ice formation within the cell and ensure that ice segregates into specific areas of the plant tissue where it will not harm. Plant also produce protective compounds to withstand the dehydrative stress associated with the formation and presence of that ice. The levels of unsaturated phospholipids in membranes are increased to maintain fluidity. Acclimation is often triggered by light quality, that is reduced red or far red ratio as the sun angle decreases, and temperature. Then they also have something called cold hardening. It is a process in which a plant undergoes physiological change to avoid or mitigate cellular injuries caused by sub-zero temperatures. And let us look at the community dynamics in relation to environment. Intense frost action processes are congealir tubation, churning, heaving and thrusting of soil material due to the action of frost creates instability in both the vegetation and soil and the communities. This may lead to a state of considerate fluctuation. Succession and climax need to be developed in the Arctic by eliminating regional climatic climax concepts, land surface and soil stability concepts that are generally used in temperate regions. There is also steady state community patterns correspond to relatively long enduring patterns of environmental gradients represent climax types. Phasic cycles that occur in these communities resulting from frost action are considered to be within the framework of climax as long as the cycles are not directional as they are in succession. Minor regional difference in climate have a less impact on soil pattern and vegetation than in the local micro variation in drainage. Arctic tundra has the mosaic pattern of vegetation due to micro variation in drainage as controlled by microtopography.